Cold open question of the week, Kaz.
What up, Shoes?
We have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot of Andrade to talk about today. I'm going to skip Mr. Cien Almas for the cold open question. Here you go. Just reading through the local news, local wrestling news.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who would you rather be? MJF or Shawn Michaels? And by that, I mean MJF going into a tables and thumbtacks match against Mark Briscoe, or Shawn Michaels getting both knees replaced at one time.
I'm so glad this is your cold open question of the week, Dave, because this is also my piss off the internet hot take of the week. They're both very related. They're both related.
What is it?
Should I answer the question first or go with the hot take first?
First, answer the question. Who would you rather have, both knees replaced or just one tables and thumbtacks match?
There's no scenario where I would wish to be an older, whiter man. So in this instance, I'm gonna go MJF, young, married, rich, in movies, wrestling star, all that type of stuff. But I say all that to say, my hot take of the week this week, my weekly rant to piss the internet off. Saudi Arabia got WrestleMania 43 as the news hit, and everybody immediately went to thinking about, oh gosh, who are they going to pull out from the woodworks here? Who's going to be the old guy that they pay $1 zillion to? Dave, I want one more Shawn Michaels match.
Wait, you think that knee replacement is for Saudi Arabia? Is that where you're going with this?
I am hoping it is. I want it.
Knee replacement. It takes at least 6 months to get like walking.
They got a year and a half. They got a year and a half to get it right.
I'm just saying double knee replacement. I mean, that's not.
What do you replace in both knees for? To live a regular life? To just hang out? I would hope. I mean, I would hope that's not the case.
Shawn Michaels is one of these old dudes who like walks like he just got off a horse. Like he needs both knees replaced. Like,
I feel like there is so much in people's hearts about Shawn Michaels' last match, and against Ric Flair, against the Undertaker and all that type of stuff, and then obviously the Saudi match that everybody decides to not talk about. But you know what? I think we got to talk about it. And
One more time?
I think Shawn needs to redeem himself one last time. And there is no shortage. There is no shortage of NXT main roster dream match guys on the roster right now that can carry a 50-plus-year-old Shawn Michaels to not just a good match.
Do you think it would have to be
a great match?
Wait. Let's save this. Let's save this for the show. Let's be official start. I would officially prefer to go through with a thumbtacks match than to have my knees replaced.
Both knees. Well, listen, I don't know how much
but I might back out when I saw the thumbtacks. I don't know.
Here's the thing. Anyway. One thumbtack is bad. A bunch of thumbtacks at once, apparently not so bad from what I hear. If you step on one with your toe, it's gonna hurt like shit.
Do you ever see one of your daughters do something and you're like, oh my God, that's how I look when I do that, and I've never noticed it, because they got, or they do a thing and you see like a reaction that you recognize for the first time
all the time.
So yesterday, my 6-year-old, we were actually walking past his elementary school, just on like a walk. Mm-hmm. My wife and I are up in the front, and he's like trailing behind, doing jumping off stuff or whatever, and he slipped and fell on the bricks. Right, there was like sand on the bricks. He did a full wipeout. And he like scraped up his hand and just his like side by his ribs, just like a like a raspberry, the size of a silver dollar,
Okay.
But he was crying. I ran over, picked him up, brought him back. We didn't really know what was going on at that point, except that he fell. And then he was sobbing. He was not that it was like, oh, that hurt, and he was a little shocked. Not that big of a deal. But then at some point while I'm holding him, he pulls up his shirt to look, and he sees the injury, and he screams like a monster has come in to murder him, right? It was like the most blood-curdling scream to see it. All of that is to say, I think that would be my reaction when I hit the thumbtacks. I think it'd be like, oh, I can stand the pain, and then I would look at the back of my arm, and I would just go, oh, we've cold open for too long. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Masked Man Show with Kaz. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Shoes. How about yourself, man?
Good. We're here with producer Brian H. Waters.
Yo.
I introduced him on purpose because I know he's got some takes. I know he's just bubbling over there.
We should all have takes this week.
Yeah, man.
We should all.
Is Andrade the big news of the week?
I mean, Saudi Mania is a pretty big.
We talked about that some last week, but yeah, the Saudi Mania thing is just going to be. Here's what do you want to start with, Brian? Let's do Andrade first.
Yeah, there's a lot of news coming out about him.
So Andrade it came out on like Friday,
Saturday morning.
Saturday that Andrade was released.
Yeah,
from or it was it first came out that he got moved to the alumni section,
right?
Which is just, I know that we say make the future endeavors jokes all the time, and we still occasionally hear that phrase. But the great thing about all the best in your future endeavors is that it was just totally passive aggressive, like, all the best to you without a job. But moving somebody from the roster page to the alumni section of the website may be even better in terms of passive aggressive stuff. Because if WWE really won, I know they're a publicly traded company and blah, 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 but WWE could just leave you up there on the roster page. It takes a while to process these things online sometimes. WWE could just make you invisible. They could just take you off and we'll figure it out later. But to move you to the alumni section, it's like your grandma wakes up one day and she's living in a retirement home. It's just like, wait, what? What happened to me? That's pretty rough. But anyway, so Andrade gets moved to the alumni section. It comes out that he's been released from the company. Initial word is sort of like, yeah, this is not just a budget cut. There's something else going on here. And as near as we can tell, correct me if I've got my timeline mixed up. In the midst of this run, he's doing tag team stuff with Phoenix, and people are really enjoying it and everything. But it seems like that at some point he failed a wellness policy. He had a wellness policy violation, failed some sort of test. We don't know what it was, and then sort of went incommunicado and missed a couple of appearances or missed a couple of episodes of SmackDown or whatever that he was expected on. There was actually some talk that he and Phoenix were supposed to be the Wyatt Six opponent at the last PLE, and got replaced with the Profits. Who knows if how much of that is true? But that's the implication right now. And then after that, after some time of not being able to get in touch with him, WWE just released him. It's not a mutual decision. Andrade is an interesting character, at least a public character, because he left WWE, went to AEW. He was kind of lumped in with Aleister Black and Rusev, whatever we're calling him, as guys who left, but maybe they probably would have stayed if Triple H had been in charge.
Right.
And then as soon as Triple H regained control, that they were like, we want to go back. But what set him apart from those other two guys is that he seemed to leave on relatively good terms. Now, this is after reportedly trying to punch Sammy Guevara in the face to get himself fired. But by the end, it seemed like he was on good terms with the company, thanked them for the opportunity. It seemed like of those three guys, he was the one with the door open to go back. He went to WWE, makes the big Royal Rumble debut. As a great Carmelo Hayes series, but never really sees the opportunity to move up. Eventually gets in this really cool tag team with Phoenix, but where's it going to go? All of that is to say, there's times where he seems like I'll use head case here, but you can put in whatever word you want. There's sometimes where he seems like the most, the best employee possible, but there's a lot more of that head casey stuff going on right now. There's some tweets from Rob Viper, who knows stuff about the lucha world, who says that, he's just always thinks he should be the center of attention. Doesn't really like process booking that doesn't have him as the center of attention. One of the reasons he always has a mouthpiece wherever he goes is that he's not trusted on the mic to stick to the storylines, to whatever. And a lot of these tweets were under the guise of criticizing LA Park, who is another notorious head case. from Mexico. Roosh, I think you'd put in the same boat, although Roosh thinks he's a secret super genius, that he he's trying to take it down from the inside. I don't know.
There's two things, right? You mentioned about the Future Endeavors notification and what was good about it. And I think the best part about it is that it avoided this. It avoided the Mean Girls burn book section of the movie when everyone's just like, I heard he did this, but I heard he did that. And it was nice, clean cut, like, yo, boom. As a result of his third wellness violation, we are releasing such and such. Or, we wish his well in his future endeavors, or blah, 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 blah. This sort of like...
You would prefer future endeavors here.
In this case, I would, because... and I don't want to seem like I'm being racially insensitive right now, which is probably never the best way to start off any sentence of the podcast, but...
Wouldn't think it'd be you, guys.
Wouldn't be me. But, it's... I think using the term head case for,
maybe not the best word.
Is probably not the best word, because it's kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this sort of par for the course with like lucha stars? Like they're ingovernable, they're ingovernable. Like part of the swag of being like a Latin lucha star is kind of just telling your boss to fuck off sometimes, right?
Sure.
Like,
okay.
We've seen it so many times. We've seen it with Andrade. We've seen it with Del Rio. We've seen it with La Park. We've seen it with Rouge. We've seen it with all these guys who are just like, if I'm not feeling it, like, F it, right? And Andrade is one of my favorite wrestlers, like, to watch. Like, he is awesome. Like, not even a good wrestler. He is an awesome wrestler. Like, SmackDown could be boring as hell, but if that dude's on the card, you're gonna be like, you're getting at least a 4+ 5-star banger out of this random match, whether it's a tag team, singles match, whatever. He is an awesome, awesome, awesome wrestler. But you got to step back and like look at this as a, you got to see the forest from the trees now for a little bit, right? It's like NXT did what happened, leaves, goes to AEW. Like you said, the Sammy Guevara rumor thing happens, leaves, marries Charlotte Flair, they divorce, right? Big story about Charlotte leading into WrestleMania was about the divorce, right? Like, and them still having to be on the same roster and all that stuff. I mean, I can't imagine that doesn't make things a little bit more difficult to deal with backstage, right? Like your ex-husband is still there working, I'm sure they're both professionals. I'm sure nothing ever came up, but I've worked with people who were going through breakups and divorces and still had to work together. It is not a comfortable situation to be in for a lot of people, right? So add to the fact that now you're hearing rumors about wellness violations, and you're hearing rumors about ghosting the company, about tagging with Phoenix and possibly winning the tag titles, and then his conspicuous absence from anything AAA, you know what I mean? Given how much, attention and resources that have gone into it. Like, I don't want to assume anything because nothing official has came out, but like those were things that kind of like made me raise an eyebrow a little bit, right? Like, wasn't really around after the big pay-per-view. The Phoenix and Andrade tag team that was hot like fire was just gone out of nowhere. And then, on top of that, it's like, well, maybe I don't know. Like, I hate doing the speculation game because it's like, clearly this is kept under wraps for a reason, right? When people get released or when people are out of a roster, we usually know, right? And this just came so out of nowhere that, especially given the way he left AEW, it raises so many eyebrows on exactly what happened and why he would be let go. Especially, like I said, all the resources that have been gone through AAA. He was there, like when they announced the AAA purchase at WrestleMania. I want to say
he sure was.
He was in the background with Stephanie
WrestleMania weekend,
Vaquer and all those guys. So like I assumed that he would be down there just making an even bigger megastar turn or push or stuff like that. But that didn't happen.
He's a more natural fit for the champ than Dom in a lot of ways.
I mean, bro, like as much as I love Andrade and I've worked with Andrade for a little bit when I was over there, like the biggest sort of thing that was holding him back was that, like, you know, his English was still spotty a little bit, but in AAA, it wouldn't have mattered a lick, you know? So it just kind of made me wonder, maybe I'm not too hip to the politics of Mexican wrestling and the world of lucha, and maybe there was some signals that got crossed between both of those companies or both of those parties, but that was another sort of thing that made me raise my eyebrow, like, okay, like El Grande Americano, Dom Mysterio, even Penta, Rey, Judgment Day, all these people. No Andrade? No Rey Phoenix? No nothing. Okay. That being said, I don't know where he goes from here, right? Like, personally, I think it would be really awesome to see him go back to AEW, but then you have to think, like, would he be welcomed back? Like, under what circumstances did he truly leave? That, you know, things, you know, change for the better or for worse. And how many more companies are willing to go out on the limb? And again, I don't know what happened to cause the release, but like, how many other companies are willing to, you know, cut the bread for somebody who may or may not be down with the booking, or may not pass a wellness test, or may not, you know, ghost you and all this type of stuff? It's like, we don't know. These are just things we've heard. So it's like,
well, I mean, in Mexico, he didn't work early in his career. It didn't work for AAA. Worked for CMLL, and I think the answer to all those questions: who would be willing to take him on? Who'd be willing to turn a blind eye to blah blah blah? I think CMLL is probably the answer. And you know, reuniting, whether or not it's in AEW with Roosh and his old ungovernable, as you said, crew, I think would probably be, if he's fantasy booking a future for himself, that's got to be what it is. And maybe some of that Roosh self-hype that I alluded to earlier, that you just, you know, assume it's all going to work out in your favor. So assume you're going to figure out something better. We get the band back together. They're going to be begging for us to be at WrestleMania. They're going to be begging for us to headline, you know, AEW shows. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, we don't really know anything at this point. So, you know, well,
I mean, it's strange. It's strange, you know. Like, I'm a big fan of Andrade. Like I said, probably in ring, one of my favorite guys just to watch work. You know what I mean? Just an awesome, like, high impact, highly athletic, just awesome wrestler.
So good.
But, you know, how many bridges do you want to burn? You know, like, I don't know. Again, all speculative, all assuming. I don't know if bridges are completely burned, but just
at
reading
AEW,
the tea leaves,
or WWE,
both. Just reading the tea leaves on both places is kind of like, all right, like, what's really going on with this guy? Where, you know, as talented as he is, everybody from the outside looking in sees him as like top of the card, world champion, big deal material. But what does it say about you if both the major North American companies had you, and it never really elevated past like upper mid card? You know what I mean? Like, never really elevated past like great matches, but haven't really got like a storyline to sink my teeth into. Like, when you think of an Andrade storyline, you think of best of 7 matches. You don't necessarily think of something that like gets people, you know, really hooked into him as a character, which is what I think you need the most in North American wrestling. Like, we see, you know, tons of guys who have come over.
Yep.
Who have, you know, either changed the way they've performed, or, you know, just done things that have gotten the fans behind them outside of just being a great bout maker or a great match haver. But this is a hard conversation to have, because, like I said, I have no idea why he was fired. I have no idea why he's released. They're saying it's a disciplinary issue.
Let's take another tactic then.
Okay.
How would you have booked Andrade in WWE?
I think it was booked fine.
No. But sorry. How could you have booked Andrade to relatively close to the main event in WWE.
I think he was booked fine. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that is strange to me, because it's like, just because I'm a fan of his doesn't necessarily mean like I need to see him wrestle John Cena. It would be cool to. Would it make the most sense? Probably not. I mean, I think the AAA stuff made a lot of sense, and I could tell they were trying to like, you know, you could tell they were like planting the seeds with like Andrade and the Legado del Fantasma stuff, and having him tag with Ray Phoenix and all that type of stuff. Like, I would have loved to see him at a couple of AAA events. I would have loved to see him at Triple Mania. I would have loved to see him do all that. But I could see a world where he probably sees that and is just like, he might have seen it as a step backwards. Like I could understand that. Like, I could understand how a big look for Dom Mysterio and the history and everything that he accomplished this past weekend is a little bit not something that like Andrade was probably looking for. He's probably looking for that crossover success. He was damn near a Flair. He was a Flair for a couple of years or months. You know what I mean? Like, I could understand that he probably fancies himself as a top tier guy, but like,
well, everybody does. That's pro wrestling. I mean, now I won't say everybody. I mean, there's a bunch of interesting personalities in the business, but 50% of the people in the locker room probably fancy themselves the best there ever was.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if there was one thing I would have loved to see, like I thought, and granted, they're both doing their own thing, and Zelina probably wants to do her own thing as well, but like I would have loved to see them back together again if there was anything that was sort of missing from this run, because she's an incredible talker, and Andrade is kind of like is what Andrade is, so, but it's definitely weird, and it's definitely interesting to see where he's going to go from here, because I don't know, is he going to be the first guy to go from AEW to WWE to AEW to WWE back to AEW?
I'll tell you again? What, he wasn't on our bingo card for that, but I don't think that's ridiculous to contemplate.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, shoot, MJF already called him out and told him to come to CMLL and watch him, beat up on his homeboys and stuff like that. So, I mean, I personally would like to see it. I just because I'm a fan of Andrade, and I just think, granted, nothing crazy happened. Granted, nothing like, dangerous or messed up or just foul happened
that we know of. Yeah,
that we know of. Like, I enjoy a wild card. I enjoy the unpredictability of like, this nobody could really. He's ungovernable, bro. Like, for real. Like, he really can't be told what to do. So if he pulls up in CMLL or pulls up in AEW, I think that's interesting for wrestling fans everywhere. It's just the silence around why gives me some pause. Like, I don't want to record this part of the podcast right now, and as soon as we're done recording, I look at my phone and some bullshit hits your timeline. Yeah, you're like, that's true. Well, now wrestling has nothing to do with any of this, right? Like, being a fan of this guy has nothing to do with.
I think that you got close. I mean, I think Andrade is trying to figure out how to word this. When Andrade came back to WWE, there were people who were like, well, they already have Santos Escobar they're trying to build, and now we got, where's Andrade going to fit? And you hear those comments at times and you think that's kind of a reductive way of looking at it. But I guess in some sense it's not, when you don't do more than the bare minimum to create these characters, and they're sort of, or to separate distinct, make them distinct from one another. If you're kind of just playing to sort of really basic tropes, then yeah, it's sort of duplicative. And there is an element of Andrade, if he stands out, aside from his ring work, which is impeccable, but if character-wise, if he stands out for any reason in the second run, I said he's got a little bit of that. What I used to say sometimes about another wrestler, a little bit of that, like Grandma's Attic book character building, where it's just like, I got a hat, I got a scarf, I got a cane, I look at me, I'm a funny guy, but like, what is the point of this, right? So he has like the mask that he comes out in. He has like there's not like he has this whole like elaborate entrance situation, but then what is he doing in the ring? How does it match up? I personally never get the ponytail on guys that never take out the ponytail. Like, I don't like, what's the point here? I don't really know who it is. And they didn't, and they sort of ignored what made him a character some in the first run and made him unique, and just sort of, listen, I appreciate, my abiding thing is that at a very basic level, the number one character trait of all these guys has to be they chose to be a professional wrestler. They chose to be a professional fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that they're leaning into that, but there's not much. If there's nothing else there, there's nothing else there. I do think that there's an element of him that does. I don't think that he's. No, I think he's pretty plug and play. I'll go that far in terms of he's kind of as big as you want him to be.
Right.
And there is an element of him that receives the sort of grandeur that I'm sure he imagines for himself. He is a jetpack sponge. You put the rocket on him, I think it can work. But he's just in there with so many other guys who are so. I mean, I do think that what you were getting at was probably the best way to book him. I'm not saying it was the right choice over Dom, but I think if you send him down to AAA, you let him be the first WWE face, the face of WWE era champion, see how it works, and then he can return to WWE as this belt-wearing, conquering hero. He seems like a big deal. Whereas Dom's going to use it to continue being Dom in the way that he already was.
Well, I mean,
by the way, Dominik Mysterio is your new AAA champion.
I was about to say, I don't want to downplay the importance of Dom Mysterio being two belts Dom and having the AAA Mega Championship. I thought that was incredible work. And shoot, if there's a train of thought that maybe Andrade might have been a little bit short-sighted, if he was really trying to get out of that WWE contract, and then that Friday he sees what Dom and Rey and Vikingo and the business that they do over there in Vegas and all the AAA stuff, you can't. And now that he's going to be on Netflix every week with that title and making it more important and making it feel like a big deal within WWE, I'm sure there's a train of thought of him looking and be like, damn, maybe, gosh, whoever's going to feud with that Dom and Penta feud is going to go stupid. You know what I mean? When it finally gets going, and maybe it's that, but again, we don't know. And we've been doing this podcast long enough to know that when we speculate and it has to do with somebody's livelihood and the guy wasn't necessarily booked poorly, I don't think anybody could go out there and be like, oh my God, they fumbled Andrade. He should have been a world champ. He shouldn't have been this, that, and the third. It's nah, I think by and large, a lot of people were like, nah, Andrade was in a damn good spot. Even when the single stuff was getting dry, they put him in a badass tag team with Rey Fenix, and that got really great reviews also. So it's I don't know, man. Shout out Dom, because I think him having the title first out of WWE definitely elevates whoever takes it off of him. If it's
agreed.
WWE
guy. I don't agree at all. Listen, I don't have any problem with the booking. I'm not saying it was a better decision. I'm just saying if you can put Andrade in that role and get him over as the AAA Mega Champion, then now you have him and Dom, right? Yeah. As opposed to just Dom, a sort of slightly leveled up Dom. You have potentially two big stars. I'm not saying it's the right choice. But I will say about Andrade is that we put a belt around his waist and it looks right. Mm-hmm. It feels right. But if we don't, like you said, we don't know anything. All the personality stuff, what do we know? So
we know.
Here's the thing: it remains to be seen what will happen.
But we know what we see, and we're responsible, so we're not going to jump out the window. But what we've seen has been somebody that, if I'm running a wrestling company, I can't all the way trust, to be completely fair. And this is just what we see on the outside looking in. If shit ain't going right for Andrade, he has shown in the past that he will ghost you. He will find a way to get up out of that contract. He'll punch a guy. He'll just leave. Apparently, there's a disciplinary issue. Apparently, there was a drug a wellness policy issue. We don't know. So because we're a responsible wrestling podcast, we're not going to speculate and just be like, hey, this is why, and this guy's fucking his career up. But
okay, we won't speculate, but you're right. If you want to talk about somebody who's going to ghost you, it probably makes sense to talk about somebody who is called La Sombra ghosting you.
There you go. That's his Spanish lesson for the day.
Anyway, we want to talk more about Dom Mysterio, who just demolished Vikingo and became, there was some distraction. There was El Grande Americano helped Dom out. Dom used his loaded mask to get the win, but he is your new AAA Mega Champion. What do you think?
Is there anybody more destined for like face of the company superstardom than Dom Mysterio? Anytime Dom Mysterio does something incredible, it's starting to become like old quarterback debates or old draft pick debates that sports guys talk about all the time, right? Like it's starting to turn into Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, right? Like when we're talking about, leading up to the draft and how many years ago we were like, when Dom Mysterio was in the pandemic and the Thunderdome just busting his ass with his tag teaming with his dad and getting thrown out of the ring by Roman Reigns, getting his head stomped in by Seth Rollins, and like all of these like megastars who were slowly building the guy up. And then now you see him as like this fully fledged character who knows who he is, who has a swagger and confidence that only can come naturally. A creative writer can't give you that. A producer can't give you that. Your dad can't give you that. You got to have something that is just naturally you that the crowd gravitates towards. And Dom Mysterio has that. He might be bigger than his father when it's all said and done. And that is a sacrilege. Lot to say. It is a lot to say. He might be bigger than his dad when it's all said and done, because this kid, man, it's like watching Tiger Woods, right? Like, remember watching Tiger Woods on Star Search or wherever it was when he was like 3 or 4 years old, and he had that golf swing that was just so good as a kid. You're like, God damn, that kid, if he knows what he knows now at that age, like by the time he's 20s, 30 something, he's going to be a very special talent. Like, just think of all of the wrestling knowledge Dom has gotten to soak up since we first saw him on our wrestling TV. When Eddie Guerrero was barking at him and telling him, I'm your poppy, and like veins popping out of his neck, and Dom was like, oh, like doing all that shit, like doing real character work as a preteen. Oh, not even a preteen. I don't know how old he was, 8, 7, 9. I don't know. And then think of all the interviews that we've had with him over the years. And I'm always thinking about this stuff because he always brings up his godparents and his family members. And he'd be like, hey, when like, Juventud Guerrero would like come over my house, and like Vampiro and like all of these guys who have just all of this wrestling knowledge game that he's soaked in over the years before he even becomes the dark match guy, which is a very important spot to have when you're an up and coming heel. Being the dark match guy, being the guy that they send out to every show at the end of the show to go and fight the guy that everybody came to see. Right? So, which was him wrestling Cody Rhodes every single night, him wrestling Seth Rollins every single night, like all of the top dudes. And now he's a top dude. He may not have the world championship. He may not be the main event, but he is undoubtedly a top guy in professional wrestling now. And it's almost silly that we compared him to other guys of his age at this point. That's how much far ahead he's lapped the people that he's been compared to when he was coming into the game. And it's almost unfair that he was compared to those guys, because the more we talk about it, the more we realize just how much he's been groomed for this since he was a child, since we first saw him at SummerSlam, when it was custody for Dom on a pole match, like it seems like it was easy, but watching him those first couple of years when he had the baby fat under his chin and had the weird, like longer Mysterio tights, I don't think a lot of people saw it. But if you don't see this guy as like the dude closing WrestleMania Night 2 in the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, I don't know what to tell you. He's got it all.
I mean, you compare him to Tiger Woods. I don't know if that's extreme. I
don't know if I compared him to Tiger Woods. I said it reminds you of seeing the promise at a young age like Tiger Woods. I'm not saying he is Tiger Woods. Sorry about that.
Yeah. He could stand to get in touch with Tiger's personal trainer. I think Tiger got more jacked in his first 5 years of being a pro than Dom Mysterio has. But
yes.
But yeah, no. I mean, I agree. I agree, and it is. It's one of those things that happens right before your eyes. You don't even notice it. It's like, I feel like making a lot of dad references on the show, but it's like when you're watching your kids grow up that you got to you look through your phone for pictures from 4 years ago before you realize like, oh shit, he's a foot taller. You're like, he looks so different. Like he talks to, and a lot of it's just, it fits him. Like he's a guy who he's got a frame that can fit any suit, like it's just really impressive to watch. It's really cool. And he's your AAA Mega Champion. Congratulations to that guy. Where does El Grande Americano go from here? Does this stuff factor into WWE story? Like, is El Grande Americano a friend of Dom now on Raw?
Yeah, I mean he's pulled up to him on Raw a couple times and been in the Judgment Day clubhouse, and Dom's always been like, yeah, nah, he's cool, like he's good, he's cool. And
all right,
when he won the title, he kind of curved the rest of the Judgment Day and jumped into El Grande's arms. It was like, I know, that's his man's. And El Grande, he's bigger than Elvis in Mexico, apparently. So it's weird to kind of see the juxtaposition of like him being treated like a rock star in AAA, and when he comes to Raw, it's still, I don't think American audiences have completely caught on to the genius of his character yet.
Of El Grande Americano?
Of El Grande, yeah.
I mean, I think they get it, but they're taking it.
A German guy playing a white guy playing a Mexican guy.
Yeah, no proof. Yeah. Well, you say, I don't know. I mean, when you say German guy, I assume you're referencing Ludwig Kaiser, but Ludwig posted a picture of himself on Instagram with El Grande Americano. Well, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, clearly that's all the proof you need right there. I mean, they're clearly two different guys. You feel me? So, funny, very, 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 very funny. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think they're gonna feud quite yet. I think Penta's kind of in line, and he showed up at AAA and pretty much called his shot for the next AAA Mega Championship, and I'm sure this is going to continue on Monday Night Raw, and we'll see how that all plays out. But gosh, you don't make an investment in an entire Lucha Libre company if you're not going to invest in somebody like Dom to help lift other talents up, like Dragon Lee, for existence. Like Dragon Lee was almost out of relevancy like a couple weeks ago, but like you could tell that they're trying to make him feel more important in all these matches. Penta's already Penta. He's out of here. Ray Phoenix is out of here. You know what I mean? He had a great US title open match. Even, the Andrade drama aside, I think Ray Phoenix is going to be fine. But you got a linchpin in 28-year-old Dom Mysterio that's going to make every single person he gets in the ring with a bigger deal, because now he's the Mega Champion and the WWE Intercontinental Champion. Yeah. So, shoot, I'm interested in wherever this sort of thing takes shape. I mean, shit. Finn Balor might be the first guy who challenges him. Like who knows?
There you go.
Who knows? It's every option's open right now, because when you're a world champion, the target is now officially on your back. So anything's possible.
Before we get away fully from all this stuff, Brian H. Waters.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any hot Andrade takes or Dominik Mysterio takes you want to get off your chest?
I mean, I've been saying what Kaz just said about Dominik being bigger than his dad, and everybody thought it was crazy. So I'm glad my brother.
Well, he's physically bigger than
no, he's going to be a bigger star. I love Rey Mysterio.
When father and son wrestle in Arena Mexico, who's getting bigger cheers?
Shoot, father and son might wrestle in San Diego for War Games.
Yeah,
like I think that's the match.
But if they're down there in Mexico, who's more over?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Like, they get an equal amount of applause when they both come out. Like, Dom was trying his damnedest to get booed by bitching out his dad after winning the title, and they just cheered him even more. Like, he was trying his damnedest to get these people to boo him, and they can't help themselves. And that is a very special place to be as a wrestler. I've done some sacrilegious comparisons all day today. I think the most sacrilegious one I'm about to compare him to now is Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was just doing horrible things to people, doing his damnedest to get himself booed.
Yeah.
Try to paralyze a guy. Got
that wasn't in character.
Had a gun pulled on him. No, not that paralyzed. I mean, Pillmanize him. Pillmanize the guy. Gets a gun pulled out on him.
Mm-hmm.
Gets cheered even more. You know what I mean? So it's like some people are just so cool and so confident and so sure of themselves that they're going to get cheered regardless. And that is a much higher trajectory for stardom, in my opinion, than the lifelong babyface, which Rey Mysterio is. Like, Ricky Steamboat was the man because he was an awesome babyface for as long as he's been, whatever. But the Macho Man was the Macho Man. You know what I mean? Like, he had some bad, he had some good, but people loved him more. And Dom is touching those
cool
areas.
Like, and he's cool. Like, look at Dominik. Damian Priest told us that. You look at the way he dressed, the way he carries himself, and I mean, let's not mention, like, he's living life. He's got his real wife, but then he's got Rhea and Liv Morgan fighting over him, and now Roxanne Perez.
There's been nobody booked to look more cooler than Dom Mysterio ever. Like, he backstage playing video games. He's wearing off-white and like $1,000 sneakers every time he goes out to wrestle. Like
eating chicken nuggets.
Saying, the Mega Championship is coming home, clock it, does the hand signal. So he's up on the Love Island lingo and all that type of shit. Like, he's just
remember he brought the Office with the prison Dom thing.
Yeah, come on, man. And we've been around him long enough to just be like, it's just
that's him.
I wish I was that cool at 28 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I wish. Got the world in his hands, man. And he had the 3 baddest joints in wrestling fighting over him. Like, who's been booked to look cooler than Dom Mysterio? Now he's got 2 belts and he's telling his dad to go, sit on the cactus. So,
I'm thinking, like, as we talk about, like, cool, right? I remember when Rey Mysterio, when he first took the mask off and him and Conan was rapping, doing the thing with the No Limit Soldiers. That was a moment where Rey felt cool, where but that was just a moment. Dominik is just like, it's here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, big night for him. It's awesome.
Congratulations, Dom Mysterio. What about Brian?
Yeah, well,
what about Andrade?
Well, Andrade, I don't like to go into the whole, like, oh, you broke with this person, somebody that looks good, because that's whatever. But I do wonder, like, is he the biggest bag fumbler when you think about over the past course, over the year?
I don't like to, but
like I'm not going to say, oh, Charlotte Flair is beautiful and he dropped the ball because she's a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm thinking of everything that they was and what could have been, where it seemed like at WrestleMania 39, we was all together, you saw them to match at Louis Vuitton, and then all of a sudden, they're not together no more. His career, like, he was in Ric Flair's last match. He teamed with Ric Flair to go from that to, obviously him and his wife split, but then lose his WWE career right now apparently, reportedly no show. And I'm wondering, like, is he the biggest bag fumbler we've seen in the last year?
Yeah, I mean, presumably making very good money, and just sort of walking away from it. Yeah, I mean, it was probably making great money at AEW and would have continued doing that too. It's kind of nuts, man. It's kind of nuts to think about. I don't know.
He had a spot when he came back. It was like the Royal Rumble.
As someone who doesn't use bag fumble the bag much in my day-to-day lingo, I'll leave this to you two.
But I will say this. I loved his AEW entrance music so much more than the WWE entrance music that they gave him. The one that he came back to. Like, the original NXT joint was fire. I loved his freaking AEW theme. I wish he goes back to AEW just so I can hear that theme again, because it just fucking ruled.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how sometimes, like, I don't know if you guys can relate, but yeah, like, sometimes, like, I don't know how I could word this without incriminating myself, but I'm gonna try my best.
Incriminate, go for it.
You ever fumble a baddie? or you ever break up with people who assume is a baddie, you know what I mean? And then everybody tells you how much you fumbled and da, 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 da.
Yep.
Meanwhile, people have no idea
Yep.
like how terrible this person is, or how like oh yeah, like what you see on social media. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure that's great with all, and social media is gonna clown you and say, oh my god, how could you like how many times, how many people have we seen? Oh gosh,
Look, I'll still put it out there because
failing.
as somebody whose lady listens to this show, I've had that situation happen where I had somebody I booked at my previous job, and then she came in the store a year later, and everybody gave me that look like, bro, what happened? How you let her go? I'm like,
how you let her go? How did
go ask her?
I'm like, bro,
she will tell
don't
you.
Even that. You don't even need to ask. That's the thing. This is why I'm withholding my judgment of Andrade, because time will reveal all. We are just people in the Greek chorus. We're just the audience members with a studio audience just be like, oh my God, this guy fumbled. I can't believe. We have no idea what WWE asked Andrade to do. It's a fine line of asking somebody to work a Mexican promotion or work with another Mexican tag team or a Latino tag team, and also just assuming that because you divorced from arguably the greatest women's wrestler of all time, Charlotte Flair, and you were essentially an extended member of the Flairs, that it's a fumble. On the outside looking in, of course it's gonna look like a fumble. Nobody knows what that feels like, looks like, or can experience that like Andrade. So I will reserve my judgment, but I can understand what it's gonna sound like. I understand what the conversation is gonna be around him. That he's a bag fumbler. That he just like from the outside looking in, he's gonna look crazy. But you gotta let time do its thing. And if time does its thing, and we look back at a year or so, like, yeah, he really fumbled, then he fumbled. But let's not be too quick to judge on exactly what that's like.
Oh, respect. But like you said, from the outside looking in.
From the outside looking in, it looks a little crazy.
But all that said, what a fucking bag fumbler.
What a fucking bag fumbler. So being completely candid, if you heard a little bit of a jump in this conversation, I had to go take a dump while we were recording. And as I went to go take a dump, the aforementioned Andrade Almas dropped a Instagram post in the same vein of Cody Rhodes and MJF and many other free agents before him. Hand, glass, notepad. Nope. Not a list of potential opponents he wants to wrestle now. Just a simple thank you to @WWE with a cigar and a glass of what I could assume is some very fine brown water. But there's your
just thanks WWE. That's it.
Just that's what it seems like to me. Just a thank you to WWE, and he's out of there. That's all the confirmation I think we're gonna get that Andrade is no longer in WWE. There you go. Or it's not brown water. It looks like a little mezcal, maybe. You know, little salt. Is that a salt rim? I don't know if that's a salt rim. Come on, son. You're a grown man. We ain't salting our rims. I'm just kidding. I'm like, don't disrespect me asking me if I want sugar or salt in my rim. Just give me the liquor. But nah, Andrade, I guess that's as good as a statement as you can make, you know? Says he's out of there. But again, bag fumbler, it still remains to be seen to see how this all sort of plays out. But what if it plays out? Let's play a little bit of what if. What if it plays out and he does return back to AEW? What does that mean?
I mean, listen, there's been a lot of historic bag fumblers in pro wrestling, and a lot of that stuff, I mean, we weren't paying as close of attention, but like, you know, it's the famous guys who left WWE, Ultimate Warrior types at the, height of their potential. Who else? Who else is big? Jake the Snake Roberts left WWE to go to WCW and then kind of lost the deal that he thought was waiting for him there. Well, that was the early 90s. There's just been a lot of that's kind of clouded by perceived mistreatment by Vince, whatever, your Roddy Pipers, your Macho Mans, all that kind of stuff. We don't know all the backstory there. There are a lot of dudes that jump ship to WCW. I'm not even talking about Bret Hart here, who probably would have been better off sticking out in WWE. But there are a lot of reasons behind that. I don't know. A lot of dudes left ECW at weird times to go to uncertain futures in WCW and at WWE. Even Ricky the Dragon Steamboat left WWE thinking there's going to be a giant spot for him and Crockett. He didn't supplant Ric Flair. Yeah, like whatever.
No.
So yeah, there's been a lot. There's a lot of bag fumbling that goes on.
But you know what? I also can't fault anybody who wants to leave any wrestling company ever. Like the same way I feel when somebody feels like they've reached their ceiling in AEW and feels like WWE is the way to go. I think we got to look the same way for WWE going back to AEW or leaving WWE just entirely. Like, it's not the perfect wrestling company. It's the biggest. It's probably the place you get seen the most. But like, maybe money wasn't what he wanted. Maybe, God, I think we're really. And I hate doing this because it's so personal, but like, I think we're really severely underselling the Andrade Charlotte factor of it all, right? Like,
well, sure. You don't have to be conspiratorial to be like, I left for another company in part because my wife is working there, and then we got
recently divorced, and it was a big freaking goddamn. It was a big sort of thing with the road to WrestleMania. Like, it was all over the Tiffany Stratton. Like, it was messy. We can't act like there wasn't some messiness happening around this whole thing. And maybe they both just decided it's just best for both of their mental states to just not be around each other as much, So I mean, who really knows? But I am super interested in seeing if he does pop up on CMLL and faces off against the current CMLL world champion MJF and seeing if that's something that pops off, so it should be really interesting, man. But would he go back as La Sombra? Like, would he be like, would he be that guy again? I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, it's a crazy world out here in pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 PLEs this weekend, right?
We do. Going not head to head, but another big fat Saturday of wrestling, baby. I love it. If you like being at home and just watching football to wrestling and all day long, Saturday is for you. Oh.
Well, let's talk about WrestlePalooza. We'll do our official picks on the Thursday show.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just run down the card as it exists right now. And let's just decide. Let's just each say something what we're most excited for. Mm-hmm. About each of these matches. All right, let's start at the top. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. What's got you amped up about this match?
Brock Lesnar was happy-go-lucky on SmackDown.
Oh, he was goofy as can be.
Goofing around, laughing up a storm, chumming it up with R-Truth. He hasn't had a single direct promo with John Cena yet. He left WWE as sort of like this cowboy character. And, before the whole Janelle Grant Vince stuff came out, he kind of had the perfect exit, right? Like, he has this incredible match with Cody Rhodes and like kind of goes off script and pretty much crowns him and is like, yo, this is the fucking man. And, that, in my opinion, that was the match that made Cody Rhodes. Like, the torn pec was one thing.
Yeah.
The comeback against Seth was another thing, but that Brock match and then Brock
shaking his hand
and doing something we've never, ever seen Brock do before or since then made Cody Rhodes to me.
Well, listen, I would argue even on I would argue on even more of a sort of meta level. The fact that Cody was given that spot, it was sort of a like make good feud in the sense that it was like the biggest feud they can give him that didn't involve the title. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people thought he should be right there challenging for the title.
Sidebar, did you see a little bit of, I saw a clip of it, I didn't see the whole thing, but did you see Cody Rhodes and Bruce Pritchard on their podcast together? Did you see that clip?
No, I did not.
So there was a clip of them talking about, basically the real life emotions tied into telling Cody, hey, you're not going over in LA, right? Like, you're but it's going to be worth it in the end. And basically saying how Bruce Pritchard was like the first person in between Gorilla and the entranceway to like meet Cody when he got there. And Bruce Pritchard was basically, alongside Vince McMahon, was like one of the driving forces in getting Cody back to AEW and all this type of stuff. So it's like, so that year of building Cody and keeping Cody important until Philly was super duper important, especially given the fact that the champ was, barely on TV. So that Brock Lesnar feud, like I said, was kind of the perfect feud and the perfect send-off if Brock was done. So which makes WrestlePalooza very interesting is that like Friday, he wasn't much different, he wasn't necessarily trying to say anything about Cena. He's like, I'm just looking for him. I'm looking for him. Like he didn't say anything truly menacing. So got me thinking, what's happening at the end of this John Cena Brock Lesnar match? Like, despite who is Brock gonna leave Cena down in a broken pile of whatever? Is John and Brock gonna like hug it out at the end of the match? Like, is he like, was he looking for Cena to like tell him something like, especially like bonding between them? Like, what makes this match really interesting is that like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking of how he left it off with Cody. And if I'm watching WWE, I'm like, I didn't even know him and Cody was that cool. Like, I'm like, all right, like he must really like him some Cody Rhodes. I don't need to use context clues to know how much respect and probably love that he has for John Cena. Like They came in together. Like they were the OVW.
You got to be good friends
four.
to bloody somebody with a steel chain.
I mean, come on, man. Like his first match is back was with John Cena. Like his first big feud that landed him the championship was with John Cena. Like you could argue almost all of Brock Lesnar's most important matches that aren't with The Undertaker were with John Cena.
Sure,
and he hasn't said anything disparaging about John Cena. He's been beating his ass. He's been beating him up and just leaving and saying, I'm going to see you at WrestlePalooza. Something tells me John Cena is going to summon the magical powers of babyfacedom to get people to humanize Brock Lesnar at the end of that match. Something's going to happen at the end of that match where Brock is going to like say something along the lines of like, John, this is what we do. I beat you up. You beat me up. I go away for a little bit. You come back. You go away for a little bit. You come back. But I couldn't have done this without you. And then they hug and then walk out together. And some weird, like, I just have this gut feeling in my stomach that given all the controversy with bringing Brock Lesnar back and putting him in the spot that he's in, and then the match that he's in, the WWE is going to try to test how truly Teflon John Cena is by trying to, after this match, they're going to try and humanize him. Cena's going
to humanize Brock?
He's going to humanize Brock in a way that it's like, granted, all this crazy stuff has surrounded him, but in 2001, 2000, whatever the year was, we both showed up in this warehouse together and we changed everything together. Mm-hmm. No matter what you say about them, like it started with 2 out of those 4 guys. The other 2, Batista and Randy Orton, which I'll get to in a little bit. I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder about that dark horse last match. If the last match is in DC, a certain other member of the OVW4 is from DC. You know, like they're both movie stars. Like, wouldn't be shocked if Batista's that last guy that walks out that aisle for Cena. But the Brock Lesnar John Cena story needs to be told, and the fact that they haven't spoken to each other, they haven't cut promos on each other, they haven't said anything to each other, leads me to believe John Cena is going to humanize Brock in the way that they're going to brutalize each other first, but it's going to end in like love and respect for one another. And in a way to like get the heat off of, you know, the fans and what people are saying about Brock and all this type of stuff. They got to do everything they can to, I don't know, I don't want to say make him like a little bit more cuddlier and friendlier or something like that, but like they got to do everything they can to take the heat off of Brock with real life heat, not, you know, wrestling heat.
I mean, Cena, who has publicly said that he's still friends with Vince.
Yep.
And I'm not going to fault him for that. I don't agree with it, but whatever. But it's not that much of a stretch to think that he might want to do a solid for Brock in the way that you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
But oof, that's a lot. That's a lot to contemplate.
Yeah.
Maybe so though. So that's what you're looking forward to. The post match. I think so too. I do like the idea. I mean, it sucks with Cena leaving. I mean, it's so impossible to like fantasy book John Cena at this point because everything requires more than 2 more months. It would be incredibly weird and cool to see an OVW curtain call at the end of John Cena's last match with Lesnar, Orton, and Batista all coming out, like the 4 of them hugging it out in the ring.
It would be. It definitely would be.
That would be a faction I would love to see.
Only because I don't think
the OVW old heads coming together.
I mean, we got to go get Shelton too. Like they got to let us borrow Shelton for a couple hours. But it's like, how have we ever seen all 4 of them in the ring together at one point, like as main eventers
in the same ring?
I think I don't think it's ever happened because we've definitely never had Brock and Batista before. Like I think they might have crossed paths like one time in the early 2000s, but like Randy and Brock was sparingly used. I mean, we've seen Cena and Lesnar a bunch of times. We've seen Cena and Orton. We've seen Cena and Batista a bunch of times. But having all 4 of them together in DC could be really, really cool. Like a really dope send-off if that's the way they do it, you know? But I think they gotta, that's my interest in that match. Like there's no real stakes. I'm sure it's going to be violent. I'm sure it's going to be a million suplexes, but the post-match and how they sort of tie in their story of their careers together is going to be interesting to see if they touch it at all and see if they try and humanize each other in a way that would make people a little bit more understanding of why Brock Lesnar had to do this match.
Sorry, a quick Google search informs me that the Lesnar versus Orton versus Cena versus Batista match did take place.
Oh, okay.
11 months ago on WWE 2012, the video game, and someone posted it to YouTube.
Well, I was about to say, I'm like, wait, really?
and for the record, John Cena won. So,
that's not a shock.
Yeah. No, that could be really cool. What about Drew McIntyre is officially facing Cody Rhodes back from his, at least temporarily, from his movie filming obligations.
He said, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza. Good to have Cody back.
What do you think? What do you think should happen here? Is there any way Drew wins this match?
Yeah, I think there's more. It's more likely than not that Drew McIntyre could win this match.
Okay, good.
You know, Cody's off filming movies. Drew's been kicking ass. Like, I kind of think that like you don't necessarily need Cody to be the champion by the end of the year.
Well, it's certainly not helping anything for him to be the champion in exile or whatever. You know,
Funny how that works, Dave. Funny how it works when Cody's a champion and he's not around every week to defend said title. It must be just funny how nobody.
Part of it sets Kobe's whole shtick. He's like, I'm the champ who actually shows up for work. You know? I mean, that's.
Didn't see him for a couple weeks. Nobody really made much of a stink. Kinda makes you wonder if you only make a stink about a missing champion if you care about that champion enough. Kinda makes you wonder. Kinda makes you wonder. Kinda makes you think maybe we're a little hard on Roman. Maybe we're a little hard on Roman.
Nobody here was hard on Roman.
I think we're a little hard on him because
Ben Cruz was.
Yeah, people were.
Get Ben on. Where is Ben?
People were clamoring for Roman, and it's not because we want to see the title more. It's because Roman's a more interesting champion than Cody. I'm sorry, Cody's the man. He's freaking awesome. Roman was a more interesting champion. The dude would be gone for a month, and people are like, God damn, where is this guy coming?
Well, okay, but heels are easier to book too.
Yes,
you know,
what
are you going to do? Everybody wants to know who's going to take the belt off Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with Cody, it's like, or with any babyface champion.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's just like who's gonna. I mean, I don't even know what the question is. Like, who's gonna actually give this guy a threat? But I don't want him to lose. Like, it's very odd.
I know. I always like fantasy book like surprise like championship victories, but it just kind of feels like the more interesting play here is Drew McIntyre. I just think that
despite I mean the stuff with Randy Orton, I mean that match was a whole lot of fun with Randy Orton and Drew, and the build that they've given to this has been good and interesting and everything. But with Cody being off the air, and frankly, it doesn't even matter if you were on the air because we're just used to these title feuds being such epic encounters that no matter what, if Drew wins, it will feel like a shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you agree that Drew winning will just feel like it came out of nowhere, even though it's reasonable and they've been building to it and everything else?
It would, but it also feels like you need something big to happen at WrestlePalooza.
I agree with that, 100%. 100%.
Crowning a new WWE champion could go a long way of doing that, and I just honestly think Drew's the more interesting character. To be honest, like Drew has every reason to want to be champion, and
do you just give it to him? Do you just give it to him long enough to hold it until Cody gets back?
No, like, no. Cody's like not an interesting champion. He's not like he's a deserving champion. He's the face of the company. He's QB1. He deserves to have that. But is he interesting as a champion? I don't think he's that interesting as a champion. I think the story that Drew's been telling for the past 3+ years about, basically getting the football, taken from him right before he's about to kick it every time he wins the title is way more interesting right now. And it's like, dog, WWE needs a big bad. And Seth Rollins is like not that. Like he's the bad guy.
Oh no! Now we're gonna run down Seth Rollins.
No,
too?
I'm not.
You were gonna get so many phone calls in this freaking episode.
I'm not running him down. I'm just saying WWE is a lot more interesting when you have a big bad chasing you. And as great as Seth Rollins is, he's not the imposing figure that Drew McIntyre is. And Drew beating Cody only establishes Cody more because now that's a new mountain to climb. Like,
I agree. I totally agree.
And Drew has done nothing to convince you that he is not world champion material. He had the feud of the year last year. He had like 2 matches of the year last year. He's probably the best promo guy they got right now. Mm-hmm. And social media, real life, like he's got the Rock's blessing. Like he's got everything you would want to be a world champion. And honestly, do something to get people talking on ESPN the next day. I don't think a clean Cody victory after being gone for a month or some change.
What would be the thing to get people talking? Just a brutal beatdown?
Just a clean as a whistle Drew victory. Like just straight up just masterclass. Like if you're gonna go, maybe I'm thinking too deep in the weeds in this, but if you're gonna go on ESPN and granted this is still a show, but like there still has to be some sort of sports athletic like psychology towards it. Like You need to drill home the fact that Cody Rhodes was out shooting a movie for a month while Drew McIntyre was beating the snot out of people for the past year and some change. And he finally has his chance back. And it was only a week's notice. Challenging somebody, if wrestling is a real thing, if I'm challenging you and I'm the champion and I've only got really a week's notice to prepare for you, that's not a whole lot of time, you know? Like, it would make all the sense in the world if Cody just straight up lost. No outside interference, no freaking, foreign objects, nothing like that. And it doesn't make Cody look any worse because we can drill home the fact that like he took his eye off the ball after the Cena thing. He did.
Yes.
Like after the Cena thing, he took his eye off the ball. He got booked for Street Fighter.
So that does make Cody look worse in a sense. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Not in a sense, but it's just like it's Drew McIntyre. He's not a bum. Like you can't just pop up like a week's notice and beat a guy like Drew McIntyre and challenge him for a title. Not say I accept your challenge. Like no, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza and I'm putting a title on the line. And I'm not even sure. Did they say it's officially the title's officially on the line?
Yes, I believe so. Hold on.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a question. Yeah. Undisputed WWE Championship. Yep.
Yeah. Nah, Drew McIntyre is not a bum. And if you really want to get people talking, have Cody lose. Have Drew McIntyre win that title yeah. Period. That's the way to do it. And I get it. Like you probably don't want to do that to Cody, who was like the guy that you send to McAfee and all these ESPN shows and First Take to make the company look great and all. But it's like
he's not doing that promo tour. He's out filming a movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like it happens. Like they still send Conor McGregor out there to talk after he loses.
Yeah, this happens every time. You talk me into some ending, and I'm gonna be really disappointed if I don't get it. But
and
whatever,
that's happen.
Fine. Punk and AJ versus Rollins and Becky. Why do I do that? Why do you always go first name with women, last name with men? When I write, I deliberately don't do that, but I still just say it all the time. Very strange inclination. I'll have to look inward about that. The couple versus couple dream match of the century. What are you most excited for? Is it just to see AJ in the ring?
Yeah. I want to see how AJ looks. Like, I
want to see what kind of pop she gets. What kind of not just the entrance pop, but what kind of reactions she gets now that the initial pop has presumably died down, and she's actually standing in a ring with 3 other super duper stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I think she'll still probably outshine him a little bit, but I want to see it because it's that'll say a lot about the longevity here. Just a level of stardom that we have to process when it comes to AJ.
Best way to see how that's going to go, entrance order. I think that's very important.
Oh, she's coming in last.
Like, do Seth and Becky have the duo entrance? Does Becky come out first and then Seth? Does Punk? I'm sure Punk is going to come out first and give AJ the last. Do Punk and AJ skip to the ring together? Does Punk wait for AJ at the top of the ring ramp? And then when AJ's music hits, does the AJ and Punk both skip down to the ring?
That would be awesome
to see.
I don't think that's happening, but if it does, that'll change a lot about the way we look at Punk. And listen, I was kind of wrong about this at this point, so maybe it'll be a change in a good way. I think normally you would have Seth and Becky come out together, but not if but maybe if the other two are getting solo entrances, and you just do them both that way. You know?
I know we've been talking about our kids a lot this episode, but I had a huge milestone in my parenting this week. And the past couple of weeks, really. It started at SummerSlam, but it really solidified itself this week. Ruby has a favorite wrestler.
Oh!
Ruby has a favorite wrestler. It's Seth Rollins.
Really?
It's Seth Rollins because she loves the whoa.
There you go.
She walks around the house just singing. She doesn't even sing the whole song. You know what she does? She goes, whoa, whoa, burn it down. Burn it down. I'm like, yes, all right. She's got it. She's always like, can we go back to MetLife? Can we go back to the stadium? She's like, can we put on Burn It Down? I'm like, and I'll just put on the entrance of Seth's, like, there's a video on WWE's YouTube of like the evolution of Seth Rollins' entrances,
Mhm.
and she just loves that crowd chant. Like as soon as she sees people singing that song, she sings right along.
Oh, that's
She
so
adds her
cute.
little remix. She goes, "Burn it down."
God, remixing at such a young age, man. You must be so proud.
She's got the musical gift, man. The DNA's in there. But yes, she is a Seth Rollins mark. So something tells me Seth Rollins is gonna win this, right? Like maybe
Just
not,
for Ruby.
just for Ruby. But I don't know. This kind of seems like a Punk and AJ. Punk and AJ got to win this, right? Like he's got to get some sort of comeuppance. Like Seth has been getting the best of CM Punk for the better part of the last like year and change. Kind of seems like this is a moment to have AJ and Punk finally get something. You know?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think that would be the very logical way to go about this. But it depends on how long you want to do it. I mean, they could be doing mixed tag matches through WrestleMania, you know? But I think probably CM Punk and AJ Lee win this. Usos versus the Bronze.
Interesting.
Is it a Jey Uso heel turn? Is it a how dominant are we going to let the Vision duo look? Like what's got you most hyped up? Brian H. Waters, what's got you most hyped about this match?
Really seeing Usos back together. That's my favorite tag team of all time. But I want to see if the Tribal Thief going to steal their shoes too. All right. Jay always come out with some fresh white on whites. We don't really, so is he going to take their shoes too? He got to keep up this moniker.
I'm not going to hold you. The white on whites are probably less expensive than any of those Spizikes or Jordan fusions that Bronson Reed was stealing. So, I forgot. Did Jay tell us in an interview when he talked about like how he has like different airs, or was that sneaker shopping when he's like he keeps them in the house? Like
he told John
specific
about
matches.
Different, he got fresh pair of white ones.
Okay, gotcha. So it'll be it might be a dead giveaway if Jay comes in some fresh whites. It's like, oh yeah, them joints are getting taken. They're losing. If there's no creases in Jay's fresh whites, them joints is ending up around Bronson Reed's neck, and they should, because he's got to wear it around his face, and nobody should wear dirty whites around their neck for that long. So creaseless fresh whites,
right?
Jay's losing. Also, it's just hard to move around in fresh whites, like toes just don't, not a lot of give in those Air Force Ones when they're fresh out. You got to wear them in a little bit if you're going to do some activities. If you're going to keep them clean, you got to walk a little bit like a duck too. So you don't want to bend them at the toes, but if you're going to wear them around your neck, one wear and get them shits off my feet.
I still think Roman Reigns should have done the Mil Mascaras gimmick where he had just like a pair of Jordans under his Jordans. Just have like he's wearing like the Shaquille O'Neal like size 24s over a pair of just like his usual size 12s, and just gets him he gets him stolen. He's like, ha, still got my shoes. Anyway,
gotcha.
And then Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. The more I think about this, the more I think Stephanie Vaquer's got to win, and that's going to be what I'm looking. I guess what am I excited for in this match is how you make Stephanie Vaquer relevant after a month plus of her being on ice. She deserves this role. This is going to be the best match of the night, full stop. And I just don't think with the stop-start they've done with Vaquer that a hard-fought Io Sky win and a handshake of respect afterwards does Vaquer any favors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they kind of got, as much as I generally dislike the make him the champ to make it have all seemed worthwhile, like to rewrite history, like narrative. I kind of feel like they have to do it here, but who knows? They probably won't. Quick preview of All Out too, since that's coming up. Got a lot of matches already announced.
Got some fun ones also.
Yeah, you got some really good ones. We got a 4-way ladder match for the AEW tag team titles. It's we got a bunch of qualifying matches at September to Remember, which is tomorrow, day after tomorrow's show. You got Hechicero and Josh Alexander versus Top Flight. One of those teams is going to be in. Killswitch and Kip Sabian versus Jet Speed. Bang Bang Gang, that being Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson, against the Young Bucks. So it's Brodito versus 3 other teams. if I had to guess, I would say it's the Callis family, that being Hechicero and Josh Alexander, but maybe Top Flight. They add a lot of flippiness to that kind of match.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess Jet Speed over Kill Switch and Kip Sabian, but again, maybe you need Kill Switch to be the base for this. And then the Bucks versus Bang Bang Gang. That's kind of a toss up to me, although it'd be crazy if the Bucks weren't on this card. So
yeah.
But if you're really going to try to make something with Austin and Juice as the last standing members of the gang, then maybe you go with it. Who knows? Those guys always come up big in big spots. Anyway, so yeah, we have that on the card. We have
tables and thumbtacks match. Mark Briscoe.
Tables and thumbtacks. Yep, tables and thumbtacks, which is a weird kind of. Usually, when there's gimmickry involved in a match, it sort of implicitly means no DQ. But if you use a chair in a table and thumbtacks match, are you DQ'd? I assume so, because otherwise,
if you use a chair,
yeah.
I guess anything goes, but it would be hilarious if they were like, nope, we strictly said tables and thumbtacks, no other foreign objects. Got to call this off.
Yeah, that would be strange. Somebody could come out with
covered in thumbtacks.
Yeah, exactly. What if the table is connected to a chair? Like, what if what if you brought out a giant thumbtack, like a thumbtack the size of like a bar stool, and you were just stabbing with
just stabbing, so just impale one somebody.
Yes.
That'd be hilarious if Mark Briscoe was just like, oh, you thought thumbtacks? My bad. This is a thumbtack match.
MJF, by the way, big credit to MJF, who, as we mentioned, just got married and somehow has he is single-handedly making the professional wrestling I want to see. He's got multiple feuds going on at the same time. Obviously, he's got, the Briscoe thing. He's just coming off this other feud. He's got, Briscoe's sort of seemed like a placeholder, but he's wrestling him at fucking All Out, Yeah. He's got the Hangman thing going on, as mentioned. He's got Mystico that he's still feuding with. Like you said, he's challenging Andrade. He that's how wrestling should be. These guys should want to fight more than one person at a time. Maybe not one at a time, but have more than one thing in their brain at one time. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hangman, your AEW World Champion, is of course going one-on-one with Kyle Fletcher, who we had on the show last week. That's going to be match of the night. That's what I said to Kyle. This is going to be a work rate focused show for a lot of reasons, and but particularly because it's in comparison to WWE, and Kyle's in this spot to have a 5-star match. That is what it is.
Yep. Yep. Very interesting match. The return of the God, my guy Eddie Kingston.
Oh, I should have led with that.
Bill. Yes, sir.
There's nothing. Talk about why you're excited about it. That's just the beginning and the end. For that match, much love to Big Bill. This is all about seeing Eddie Kingston back, seeing how he looks. There's going to be a little bit of, Eddie Kingston's all about the vibes. I want to feel the vibes. I want to see him wrestle and feel that in my bones. Is he ready for the main event?
The world is cold. You better bundle up, Dave. I'm such an Eddie Kingston fan. I'm so glad he's back. I mean,
you AEW, and Phil, and I like Eddie Kingston too. I think the question really is, it'd be one thing if they walked him into a feud. They let him be the mystery partner of somebody or whatever. But this Big Bill return, even though it's not as high profile as they could have done, I think it's even more. It's a bigger deal in some ways because that's a warm up match. He beats Big Bill and he's in the main event.
Yeah.
If that's what it and so that's why this is incredibly intriguing.
Of course, and you have to factor in that AEW's kind of been hit with the injury bug recently with Swerve and Osprey and a couple of other folks. There's some spots open at the top of that card, man. That unified title, everything in there, there's a lot of opportunity for a guy like Kingston to come in and immediately be a big deal. I think this coffin match with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. Yeah,
another Eddie Moxley would be a fun one.
Could be something else that's in there. And Okada, you know what I mean? Nobody has been able to beat this guy. And the last person who even had I think the closest chance was during the Continental Classic, which, initially crowned Okada, and he hasn't lost since. So, I mean, it would be awesome to see those two sort of go at it also. But Big Bill, you're a good man, brother, but nobody is here to see you do anything but make Eddie look awesome. So
Well, that's a little bit rough, but
is it?
No, I would say
it's the truth. It's the truth.
No, that's gonna be absolutely sick. You mentioned Okada. He's taking on his stablemate, erstwhile stablemate, Konosuke Takeshita, and Mortos or Mascara Dorada. But yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. I think Mortos would put my money on him, and regardless, that's going to be a hell of a match. Just watching the Okada Takeshita chemistry and how long they can really drag that out, and it might be coming to a head. But you mentioned the coffin match. A lot of times we've seen in AEW that the toughest thing about some of these gruesome, violent matches is that they're like immediately preceded or followed by another violent match. You know, I don't think there's anything going to be challenging Moxley and Darby in the bloodletting quotient on this one. I mean, I'm sure, you know, Copeland, Cage, and FTR are going to get their share, a little trickle down blood. But and who knows? Timeless Toni Storm may come up with a gusher just to put over her opponents. But I think Darby and Moxley are going to get center stage to gross us out, and it'll be exciting. Maybe they'll figure out another way to stab each other with forks or screwdrivers or machetes. Toni Storm, I mentioned, is taking on Hayter, Statlander, and Thekla, kind of resetting the division here. Is there any way that Toni Storm loses?
No.
Multi-person matches are really hard. I mean, it's hard to bet against the champ, I should say.
Yeah.
Who are you most excited about, though? Who's got the brightest? If one of these people is going to be feuding solo against Toni Storm for the belt, Hayter, Statlander, or Thekla, who do you have?
I can see Thekla. I can see Thekla is sort of like starting to work her way into the women's title picture. The what they call it, the Triangle of Madness. Or
I don't remember. Yeah, that sounds right.
sounds legit.
I mean, Hayter though is right there. I don't know what. It's tough. I mean, obviously Mercedes is taking on Riho, and there'll be a spot as Mercedes' next champion. I think I agree. I think I would go Thekla and Toni Storm, and maybe line up Hayter as Mercedes Monet's next opponent. Statlander has obviously got her own thing going on, so we'll see about that. And then we got the Hurt Syndicate against Ricochet and GOA. And I mentioned Copeland and Cage versus FTR. Probably didn't talk about it enough. This is Toronto. How excited are we for the Christian Edge? Sorry for using that phrase. You can pause the air horn for now, Brian. The Edge and Christian reunion against FTR. Are we excited about this? But Kaz just disappeared. Kaz was so overwhelmed by the prospect of seeing Edge and Christian back together, he disappeared from the call. There he is.
All right.
There he is.
I don't know what happened. It was just like
good because you were gone. Brian was about to have to talk about Edge and Christian, and I didn't want to see his head explode.
Nobody wants to do that.
No. How excited are we for the Edge and Christian in-ring reunion? Brian, you answer. You're the one that stuck through.
I'm not excited at all.
What?
No.
Are you just a hater now?
You know, I live with a gentleman, my 16-year-old son, who used to be a big Edge fan based on a video game. And every time I try to show him Cope, he goes crazy. It's like, if I need him to fall in line, I'll just show him a Cope match. And it's just not the same. I need to see them in the WWE ring. I need to see them as Edge and Christian, not Christian Cage and Copeland. So I'm not excited at all.
That's what a hater.
It's so, you know what? I know. I know it makes us bad wrestling fans for saying it's not the same.
I want to see him in a WWE ring. Come on. What is that?
And then, even then, I was tired of Edge, honestly. I mean, you know, I think he's the one person that came back and I wanted to say, never mind.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know about that. I think
he was more. Brian is trying to take your hater championship.
My hot take hater title.
I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy any match.
I'm not
going to say that. I will say that when the matches happen, I really love the matches with Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. But that excitement that I had of like, oh man, I felt something when he had to retire. It hurt. Yeah. But after he came back, it was like, I kind of got used to life without you. Okay, you came back, you gave me a couple matches, but just not the same. I could
let me put you in my shoes real quick.
This is a wild take, but okay.
So
go ahead.
like, I remember I was at the Royal Rumble that Edge returned. Right, it was one of the wildest days of my life because it was the day Kobe Bryant passed away. And I just remember the energy in that stadium just being the weirdest energy I've ever been in for any wrestling event. It was just this weird mix of somber and shock and still like trying to enjoy the show. But like, I just remember there was just a fog over it, right? So much so that like the usual, oh my God, who's going to be the big surprises in the Royal Rumble in the air was like even more diminished than usual, right? Like, wasn't like, and it wasn't like Edge put a ton of breadcrumbs out there that he was coming back. Like, he had the one thing with Elias a couple of months earlier or a year earlier, but like nobody was like, oh yeah, like Edge is definitely coming back. So when he came out the curtain and the music hit, I think the shock of it all was big enough for people to just be like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he's back and I can't believe he's wrestling full time. And then I just think he was just a victim of circumstances that were out of his control, like the pandemic, the world closing down. I mean, being in the crosshairs of the beginning.
Guys, he had the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Which I agree. I really enjoyed that match.
But trying to come back to your top level when Roman Reigns was just like becoming the tribal chief, like one of the most successful runs in the history of professional wrestling. Like, that's just and our last visual of you at a WrestleMania is you being double stacked.
Well, all of our technology is failing. Another peek behind the curtain. I believe Kaz has to take another dump. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up, gang.
Any news that we missed, Brian?
Well, I do want to ask you one last thing.
We didn't talk about Saudi at all. We can close out with a quick Saudi conversation. According to Nicola Piccolo from the Paradigm Agency, the rumored price for Mania in Saudi Arabia, word on the street, is $250 million. Sounds right to you?
Sounds right. I'll be honest, like, it is a little bit of a bummer that WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia. I can't front. Like, it's definitely a different vibe, but like, you know, I'm not going to be one of those people that are just going to be like ignorant and just assume, you know, it's a tough week for me to, you know, clutch my pearls about anybody's governments doing anything right now, right? Like, it's a tough week for me to be like, oh man, like Saudi Arabia, do you see how they treat their people over there? I'm like, have you been here? Like, do you know what's happening in this country? Like, let's you know, pump the brakes a little bit on you know, being the moral police right now. It sucks. But you know, I understand it, right? Like, I think you would hope that the first overseas non-North American WrestleMania would be, you know, somewhere like a Paris, like a Mexico, like, you know, something that's at least a little bit closer as far as like travel is concerned and getting American audiences there. But you know, it's going to be something different. We got about a year and a half to sort of like prepare for it, to see what it's going to feel like. But I understand why they did it. Like, I can't be like,
for money, for $250 million.
Money, exactly. It's like,
I mean, listen, I think that it's hard to fault WWE for their bargaining strategy or whatever, because it's proven to be very successful in terms of making money. But you know, I think that you leave WrestleMania on the table so that you can set the market value. You know what I mean? It might have been wise for them to take WrestleMania off the table with Saudi Arabia, just to say from the very beginning, if they had said, no, we've decided as a company inside TKO, this is an American event, you know, whatever. But they clearly didn't want to, because they wanted to see how high Saudi Arabia would go and to see if that number would be worthwhile. And it turns out, as we discussed last week, that it seems like they did pitch them a version of the Minneapolis special, which is to say, you don't get WrestleMania, but you get fill in the blank. They offered them fake WrestleMania. They said, "Oh, we're not going to give you WrestleMania, but how about super duper WrestleMania?" And it's only
that
Saudi
is hilarious.
exclusive. And Saudi Arabia finally smartened up, and they said, "No, we would like actual WrestleMania, please, for this amount of money." And that's how we get to where we are. Which will be, so it'll be interesting.
It's gonna be interesting. But you know what? To tie into the original cold open question of the week, I do want to see Shawn Michaels wrestle one last match. I think it would be interesting. I am somebody who is, I honestly think you can draw a very compelling and interesting story of somebody of the present era or on NXT drawing Shawn Michaels back out of retirement for one more match.
Kind of feels like Shawn Michaels will feel honor bound to put somebody in NXT over.
Yeah.
But that's probably not the best use of him. If he had to put over somebody in NXT, is it Javon? Who is it?
Yeah. Javon Evans versus Shawn Michaels in Saudi Arabia at WrestleMania 43. 1,000,000%. Somebody tells me we get to watch Javon Evans versus Shawn Michaels in a wrestling match. I'll be like, the Ric Flair send-off, I mean, the Undertaker send-off was cool, but like, this is super cool, Even if it's somebody current, like if it's AJ Styles last match, if it's Cody Rhodes, like there's ways that I'd be interested in watching Shawn Michaels wrestle again. We've seen people who are older. We've seen people who aren't as good. I'm not saying no to
a Shawn Michaels match ever. I don't care how old he is. It'll be. I mean, we just can't get our hopes up that it's going to be as good as his peak, but.
No, and I don't think it needs to be as good as its peak, but I think there's a storytelling device and vessel that you could use to make it make sense so it doesn't bastardize the last time you saw him, which it kind of already has been bastardized with that tag team match in Saudi Arabia, right? So it's like, yo, if you're going to do one more match, like you have a whole school of your NXT children who you can like literally make for the rest of their entire careers if you really believe in them that much. And Javon Evans versus Shawn Michaels at a WrestleMania. I mean, is there any other way to start off a kid's WrestleMania career and his life than like sending it to the most expensive, biggest, WrestleMania that there's probably going to be against a heartbreaking Shawn Michaels? Last question, Dave. Is there anybody out there you could take that Saudi check and cash it for anybody living right now that they're going to work a match at WrestleMania 43? Is there anybody that you would truly want to see?
Do I get him for the whole build?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see.
They're working. Yeah.
I would love to see. Listen, as much criticism as we've given him, I would love to see The Rock have to show up every week for 3 months leading to WrestleMania and wrestle. I'm trying to think though, who would be. I don't know. I mean, who's retired that can still go? Everybody's still working if they can still go.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's lingering out there.
I guess that's it. I guess he's the only one.
Would you want to see The Undertaker work a match? I mean, not.
Sure, like a quick match, but I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. I think he'll be there, whether or not he chokeslams somebody, and he'll he'll tombstone somebody. I bet even whether or not there's a bell that's rung before and after, it doesn't really matter to me that much. Yeah, Stone Cold doing one more. Although if Stone Cold came back for one last match and it was in Saudi Arabia, wouldn't that feel a little bit like something? If he comes back, he's got to do a few matches. He's got to do that. He's got to do one in Texas. That would be it. Just have the send-offs to Stone Cold in Dallas, in Cowboy Stadium. Do something like that. But yeah, I mean, I would love to. But if it's only hypothetical, I think it would go with another one. Actually, one of Stone Cold's biggest opponents from his rise in WWE, and that's Marvelous Mark Marrow. Bring him back. Only the Saudi paycheck will get him back in the ring.
You're not cutting Mike Tyson a check to come and punch Shawn Michaels one more time?
Dude, in Philly radio, they always have, I would listen to the sports radio station out here, and they were asking they're giving away free Mike Tyson tickets. And so they were asking, the question of the day was, who would you like to see Mike Tyson punch in the face? And man, a conversation got a little rough. Anyway, no, I don't know. Can I say Goldberg just so he can sully his own retirement?
Of course we can.
See, Ric Flair. If I pick Lex Luger, does that mean he has magically regained the ability to walk and wrestle again? Because I'll give him that pick. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean that, and like you got to get Triple H to like the Tony Stark like heart transplant.
I was gonna say, if I'm just giving out medical gifts, can I bring people back from the dead? I don't know. Maybe that's what Jericho is going to hold out for. He'll just stay a free agent until WrestleMania, just to see how much the Saudis will offer him to show up.
How much money do you think Saudi Arabia has to offer John Moxley?
I was just actually thinking about Moxley, and when I said Jericho, Moxley, and Omega, like, there's no way. But man, I guess there's a way. $10 million, please. Apparently, the $250 million number is variable based on WWE getting these guys to agree to show up. So it can be up to whatever number if everybody is. So, I mean, they're basically paying them out directly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. Does Moxley say, I mean, just a hypothetical, does Moxley say yes for $20 million? They just say his contract is up the month before.
Oh, $20 million to work one WrestleMania match?
Well, presumably you're signing a WWE contract.
Anybody, if you make $20 million to wrestle, bro, you're taking that gig. You're taking it. And by the time it's WrestleMania 43,
yeah,
I think people will be clamoring for a Shield reunion. I think people will be clamoring for a Shield reunion every WrestleMania at this point. Anytime there's even a rumor, an inclining, even spec, and I think that's been done by design. This is how you know these dirt sheets are bullshit. If it's even a speck of a morsel of a rumor that John Moxley's contract is coming up, people will clamor.
Oh,
to reunite with the Shield.
There will be some clamoring.
So there will be some clamoring. And if the Saudis could make that deal just a wee bit sweeter, they got about a year and some change to figure it out. But I think that's the only thing that could be like, money's not an object. Let's go get John Moxley.
True.
That's the guy. Yeah.
Would you take 20 million? It's a cold close question of the week. Would you take $20 million to wrestle in Saudi Arabia against Abdullah the Butcher? He's calling the match. He's cutting you open. He may or may not, if that crazy person Hannibal's stories are to be believed, he may or may not be inflicting hepatitis upon you. You take that match for $20 million.
Give me the hotel room keys. Show me where the room is. Let me know when the flight's out of there. Yes, I'm taking the $20 million to go wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Yes, I will learn to bump. Whatever you need me to do, coach, I'll figure it out.
Oh my God, you're crazy. But yeah, probably not wrong. All right,
let's start it. Heartbreak Kid. Don't be discouraged by these losers online. Give us one more match, Sean. One more match. I'm with it. I'm not like these losers online that are so protective of the past.
Who are these losers online?
These losers just be like, oh, so what are they going to do? Have Shawn Michaels wrestle again? I'm like, you know what? I hope so. Like, it would be awesome.
He was one of the best performer the last time he wrestled.
He was kind of the best wrestler on earth the last time he did it. And he's only like taught the next class of best wrestlers on earth. So yeah, I would like to see Shawn Michaels wrestle one last match. So what? Give me Shawn Michaels versus Andrade. Like that wouldn't bang. Like that wouldn't be it. Like that would have been.
We're back to Andrade now. Okay, that's great.
I'm all about nice full circle endings about podcasts. That's all I'm about, Dave.
Thank you for bringing it back around.
Yes,
anyway, you want to get your plugs in on the way out here?
Say less. You can catch us live on stream on my YouTube and my IG page and Twitter, all that stuff. Season 2 is 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, coming very, very soon. But I ain't got much to plug today, baby. Just this show.
Brian, you got any plugs? Anything you want to say?
Dominik Mysterio, future world champ.
Oh, he's a world champ now.
Andrade is Andrade officially the biggest bag fumbler?
Yes, Andrade officially biggest bag fumbler. I stand by that. By the way, Ben Cruz says he couldn't make it, but he stands by Roman should have went to work and Cody was making a movie.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll see how they feel in Indiana, baby.
Thank you guys for listening. Thanks to Brian H. Waters, our producer. Thanks to our EP Ben Cruz. Bad takes aside. Finn Balor's going to be okay. Boo your mama.
One more match, Sean.
One more match, Sean. We'll see you back here on Thursday, humanoids.
Peace.